Welcome, everyone, to Coaching this Session. My name is Michael Rearden, and I'll be your coach this evening. So today we're going to be talking about my recent blog, and that's going to be ideals versus ambition. And when we are faced with ideals and ambition, we're faced with a similar term. They both mean something in our life. The ideal life and ambitious life. Which one? Can we go after both? Is there one that's better than the other? And I do go into detail in my blog, but today I want to break down what is ideals and ambition. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that videos like. And let's talk about ideal first, because ideal is talking about satisfying one's conception of what is perfect, what is suitable for them. So this is going to be personal to you, because an ideal life for you might be living in the woods, a cabin with a dog or a cat. Maybe you have your partner, maybe you don't, and you're content. You don't have internets, maybe you have a pile of books and a warm fire, and that's life for you. But then there's going to be people who don't want that lifestyle. They need to be in New York City or California, and they need to be in the most expensive high rise, and that's where they stay. And they have all the fast cars and all the nice clothes. That could be their ideal life, the life that is most suitable for them. And no one is wrong when we're talking about ideal life. If your ideal life is different than someone's, that's preference. Because if you're operating under the notion that everyone needs to have the same life, then you have to understand individuality. Because people are not going to think the same. They're not going to want the same. Similar to how people like different colors. They might not like your color, but it doesn't mean that they're going after something different in life. It just means they like a different color. Because we all go after the same thing in life, and that is to be at peace and happy. And you might tack on other things, but those are the prime desires of what we want as people. And then we take a step back at what the brain wants. And the brain just wants to relax. It doesn't want to have to fight for its life. It doesn't want problems. It likes drama, but it likes easy too. So the easier our life is, the more we dream of that type of lifestyle. Because people don't necessarily need money. Thinking about winning the lotto, thinking about getting an inheritance. It's not so much about the money. It's about what the money brings. So someone is looking for a better lifestyle. They're looking for an easier life where they don't have to struggle. And that's where we are. People are struggling every single day. They have to work a 9 to 5. They have to maybe scrounge to pay the bills, the mortgage, the rent, and they're in a rat race. So they want to get out of that rat race, and that out of the rat race is their ideal life. Now, they do tack on other things that make it even more ideal. A nice big house, white picket fence, maybe have some little ones running around. Maybe you have a fridge full of your favorite pop soda. Maybe you are having the perfect physique, health. That is all possibility when it comes to ideals. Now, let's talk about ambition, because ambition is a little bit different. Ambition is a strong desire or due to achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. Big difference between the ideal and the ambition, because ambition is saying we want to achieve something, but we need hard work to get there. Hard work sounds like too much work. And if we think of hard work as something that we need to shy away from, how will we ever get to the places we want to be in life? Whether that be of great success, of a place of high value. And that's going to require us to be ambitious, to be hungry. If you ever listened to a motivational speaker, Les Brown would always say, you got to be hungry. You got to be hungry. and you have to be ambitious. When he says you have to be hungry, he's not saying you need to go to Subway and grab a bite to eat. He's saying you have to be ambitious, and that ambition is going to lead to success. But in order to get there, the thing that ties both together is going to be hard work. So let's head over to reconcile.com. If you're new to the channel, welcome. You would want to go to any search browser, whether it be Mozilla, Firefox, Microsoft Explorer, whatever, and you're going to head over to revenconcepts.com. When you get to revenconcepts.com, you're just going to head over to the resource tab and then go down the blog. Now we can see that we have Ideal versus Ambition is the blog that came out today, and not a terrible read. I go into quite a bit of detail of the two and give quite a few examples on having an ideal life and having an ambitious life. And one of the things I want to share is that they are similar terms, right? They both lead to a better tomorrow, but one is going to require more out of you than the other, because ideal is going to be operating under a fantasy. And fantasies are nice. I'm not going to lie. When I was young, I used to love daydreaming. If I didn't have anything to do, you would find me daydreaming about a better future, about a better life. All the struggles in the world that I was facing, all the challenges, were gone. That was my fantasy. The thing about fantasies are that there's no action applied to your fantasy. Same thing with ideals. You could have an ideal life in your mind, but it doesn't mean you're going to go after them. So you might say my ideal life is going to be, I have enough money to pay the bills and I can take it easy. But when does that happen? Typically, it's going to require work, some work, but it's not as urgent as saying, I am ambitious and I'm going to reach my goal sooner than later. Elon Musk had a quote, and you don't have to like Elon, but he had a quote, or just a saying. He says, if you give yourself 6 months to do something, you're going to take 6 months to do it. And I mix it with other rules. So we have our 10X rule from Grant Cardone. We have being limitless or getting the results you want in life, Tony Robbins. When we mix all of the different things that people say, Les Brown, got to be hungry, ambitious, when we mix them, we actually get a different blend, a new concoction, a different way of thinking. Because you might not resonate with what one motivational speaker says or a quote that you hear, and that's fine. When it comes to learning, when it comes to education, no one is going to learn the same. People are going to be operating under their own methodologies, under their own beliefs, under their own way of thinking. And as long as that is the case, they're going to favor certain things over the other. When I was a teacher, I would always make sure I always hit multiple areas, because I'm not dealing with one person. It's a lot easier with coaching one-on-one clients, even two people, very simple to figure out how they learn and what needs to be said. Versus now I have a room of 30 students looking at me. I need to figure out how they learn, and then I need to keep on hitting every single area. Very exhausting, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed watching them grow from where they were to the end result. And I always had teachers and directors saying, oh my God, they're so amazing and they're so smart and all this stuff. But it didn't happen because I read a book. It didn't happen because I went to college. It happened because I paid attention. And when we have our ideals and when we have our ambitions, people fail to pay attention. They have a belief that comes in their mind, and to them, it's everything. Because perspective is going to be different for everyone. It's going to be unique from person to person, especially people without. If you take someone from a third world country and they don't have money for luxurious things. Maybe they can't even buy a birthday cake for a birthday. But when you give them a birthday cake, maybe some soda, to them, that's everything. That's happiness, that's joy, because that is their situation. And we take it for granted more often than not, because if we think about it, if you're listening to this, that means you have some type of device, an electronic device, and you're able to listen to this podcast. Not everyone in the world is as fortunate as you. And if everyone could listen to this podcast, they can get a little seed of hope. And they can plant it and they can protect it. And when it sprouts, then it can lead to more than just hope. It can lead to ambition. And when we talk about ambition, it's going to be saying, okay, well, I have the hope. I have the dream. Now I just need to put in the work. And it's necessary to understand the difference, because simply saying your ideal life to someone, or writing your ideal life, or having a dream board or a vision board, your ideal life, your fantasy life, it needs action. So ambition is more so the action plan to your ideals, because ideals are going to be the concept of, if I have 6 months to do something, I'm going to take 6 months to do it. Versus if I'm ambitious and I have ambition, I'm going to push myself to get it done sooner than 6 months. And right now, I'm currently writing my first book. And I've been writing my first book for probably a year, 2 years, and I have quite a bit done. But I have a newfound mission, a newfound goal, a newfound ambition, because I want to get the book done by my birthday. And I'm going to be an old man. I'm going to be 34 come next year. And I want the book done. I know once I get the first book done, the second book is going to come out like nothing. The third book, the fourth book, the fifth book, the sixth book, and onward. Because I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot to say. And the podcast was going to keep on going on, and the blogs and the videos are going to keep on coming out. But to write a book, it's not so much I'm sharing information with you, is that I'm solidifying my legacy. Because my ideal life is not Louis Vuitton and Ferraris and Lamborghinis. My ideal life is to have my book in multiple libraries across the world, to have my book utilized in colleges and in the education system, where students, teachers, parents can read this book and learn how to be more in their life. Because an ideal life is nice, but if you can't reach it, what's the point? It's like having a nice house, but all the doors are locked and you don't have the key to get in. Looking at what is possible, but not everyone is taking the initiative to action in order to get there. So how can we become more ambitious, right? Because that's what we need. How can we become more ambitious and not simply act and operate on ideals in our life? Well, the first step is we need to be accountable for all our actions. Because if we're going to be putting off, waiting, eventually we're going to run out of days. We're going to run out of time. And the reason I like coaching, whether it be coaching people or having coaching for myself with my mentors and other coaches, whether it be relationship coach or life coach in general, is that they can see my blind spots, because I'm thinking one way. But of course, my brain is always thinking, moving around. So now I have different perspectives. But when you have someone else come in the mix, they can challenge you. They can challenge your belief. Because if you tell yourself something long enough, eventually becomes your truth. So I might have been telling myself a lie all this time, and maybe it was unknowingly. Maybe I was ignorant and I need to be led to the correct answer. I will be humble in that fact, but not everyone can do that. People are so worried about being wrong or failing or looking like They are not an expert. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. I learn best from my mistakes, from my failures. People learn best from their mistakes and their failures. But we're so quick to say, I don't want that in my life. And what happens? People decide to not go after anything in their life. They find a nice little comfort zone. And they say, this is my comfort zone. I'm going to stay here and it's going to be nice. And it is nice. But it's not nice long term. Because long term is going to be painful. You're going to resent yourself for not pushing yourself sooner, earlier in life. When I was young, I was jumping off the sofas and doing cartwheels and doing all this insane stuff. Now I'm a little bit older. I don't think I have done a cartwheel for about 10 years now. It's not that I can't, it's just that it's dangerous. What happens if I get hurt? Then I'm going to not be able to go to the gym and it's going to be a whole dilemma. And so do I need to do a cartwheel? Not necessarily. But it's about the ambition. It's about the ideals, what you set forth for yourself. People forget that. People are led to a certain belief, a certain idea. And in the blog, I give a great example. If you go to a certain restaurant, think this restaurant is fancy. So growing up, we would always go to the diner. And typically we'll go to the diner after church, maybe once a month. And it's always fancy to me. But the diner, the food wasn't that great. The atmosphere wasn't anything special. If I go to that diner now, it's a dump. But when I was younger, that was what I was faced with. I love going to the diner. I love to eat with my family. But then something changed. Now I started to raise the bar to what was acceptable. I started to choose what was more suitable for my current lifestyle, the lifestyle I wanted, my ideal life. But it didn't happen by accident. It didn't happen because, I did what my mom or my dad told me to do. It was because I put in the work. When we think about school, the education system, when you are in school and you're at your desk, you are the person in charge of your grade. Of course, parents do fight for their kids' grade. And of course, teachers will succumb just giving the grade so the parent can shut up. I've seen it. But for many parents, they hold their child accountable. Why are you not succeeding? Why are you not getting good grades? And it's not because the child is incapable of it. It's because that maybe they don't understand how they learn. Maybe they are just not putting one and two together, that they are the person that's going to be responsible for their whole life. As a parent, you're taking care of this kid and the kid sees that. There's food in my belly. There's a roof over my head. There's clothes on my back. And they take that for granted. And for me, again, I was fortunate to see people who had without, because it made me focus and understand sooner than later that not everyone is as fortunate as I was. So my ideals could go up, and they would go up, because my ideal life kept changing and kept evolving, because the dreams that I had when I was younger are nowhere close to the dreams I have now. Totally different. But people operate under the same dream, the same belief. I'm going to have a 9-to-5, a house with a white picket fence, maybe a kid or two. Maybe you have a nice car and just a family car, multiple cars. So we have that ideal life, but is it your most ambitious life? Why can't you be a real estate tycoon? Be a car collector with hundreds of cars and sitting in garages across the world. That's a possibility too. And it's not that you're greedy. Understand that. You don't have to be greedy to be ambitious. In order to be ambitious to the fullest, you have to have action. So when we're talking about ideals and ambition, the difference is going to be one is going to require massive action and one is going to require you to sit there and think of what you want, what's going to be most suitable for you. And I encourage you to dream, to fantasize, to visualize, because that's one of the first steps. You have to have a goal. And then after you reach that goal of having everything written down and you have a clear idea of what you want, now we need to implement change. We need to implement some action. And ambition is going to be one of the best tools for that. So, wonderful read, Ambition and Ideals, Ideals versus Ambition. If you are just joining in, you can always watch the playback on YouTube, Facebook, on any podcast. We're listed everywhere now. And I will see everyone Wednesday for the gratitude workshop. So look forward to that because that's going to be a good one. And guess what? It's the perfect time too because Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Stay tuned for that. And I will talk to everyone on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Until then, take care.